when you just come across the spiritual teachings, you start to notice how so much of your life is just on automatic. You're thinking, you're feeling, you're acting, you're experiencing. Everything is just happening on automatic. It is almost a state of unconsciousness, a state of sleep, reaction, no wisdom, no insight, no detachment, simply acting on impulse, totally unconscious. And as you just begin to discover the spiritual teachings, as you begin to meditate, reflect, investigate, you start to be more and more aware of this. But this practice is not about becoming over controlling of the thinking and the feeling and the acting and the experiencing. It's not to make these processes so deliberate and controlled. The practice is not about control. Actually, what happens is that the more you become aware of yourself as you are, the more the sense of being becomes noticeable in your experience as the unchanging reality. The less you are immersed in the happenings, then a sort of restfulness starts to happen, where you are able to rest as that seeing, as that awareness, as that stable, changeless knowing, being, awareness, while the activity can happen as it must. So let me explain this to you in a simpler way. As you begin the process, right, you're totally on automatic, unconscious sleep. Now you start to become aware of a lot of these sort of mental tendencies, these fears, these judgments, these interpretations, all these impurities in the mind. You start to become aware of them. Naturally, they start to be cleansed away as you no longer support them with your unconscious identification, your belief, your attention, your engagement. But this isn't, a shift to now you need to take control of every single thought, every single action, every single emotion. Because that would itself be so tiring. That would itself be so exhausting, something that needs to be maintained. Whereas what we're really trying to shift is, right, from effort to natural state. So what you'll actually start to see that maybe in the beginning, yes, it is like that, where you're being overly conscious of every single thought and feeling. Whereas the more and more you start to discover this changeless self, the reality prior to mind, that which knows the mind, now the thinking and the feeling and the experiencing and the acting can once again become automatic. But there's a difference in this sort of automatic. This is more what we can call spontaneous rather than unconscious. Before, you were completely automatic and unconscious and immersed in the happenings, the thinking, the feeling, the experiencing. But now, you rest in a deeper, subtler place, your actual home. You rest knowingly where your true position actually is, even was before. So now you actually knowingly rest as that. And there's a relinquishment of ownership over the thinking and the feeling and the experiencing. Not something you have to do, it just automatic, happens on its own. And now because there's a relinquishment of ownership, of doership, more and more, all these processes can once again become automatic. But because you're not immersed, because you know a deeper truth, a deeper reality, right? Because you're not so obsessed and lost in that which is transient, in the happenings, what happens can no longer pull you into suffering. And naturally, what happens and the movements of mind and the action are actually more aligned with your truth. Before, in the unconscious automatic state, there are many impurities in the mind, many false ideas, concepts about yourself, the world, what is. As you become more and more aware, a lot of these are no longer supported. They become cleansed out. So now the mind actually goes from being destructive and dysfunctional to being a servant to the self, naturally. And that is why it can be more let go of, right? It can become automatic once again. You see what I'm saying? It goes from dysfunctional to more of a purified mind, a harmonious mind. The mind will still be restless, but it will reflect the qualities of, more purity. Only a purified mind can become automatic. If there's great identification and belief in the mind as myself, and the mind has become me, and there's great power in the mind over you, then it becomes very, very dysfunctional very quick. So in order to really make it automatic, but not have yourself immersed in the mind, and actually have the mind serve, right, just a natural expression, we must purify it of wrong ideas through silence, through meditation, through practicing the teaching as we talk about on this channel. Now, the thinking, the feeling, and the experiencing can again become automatic, but now it's a more spontaneous rather than unconscious. You are conscious of the thinking and the feeling and the experiencing, but no longer immersed, no longer giving it the stamp of reality, no longer attributing beingness to it. You see it for what it is. You see it arise and subside. No longer is the thinking, the feeling, and the experiencing a problem. Over here, when you're on automatic, everything is a problem, Even when things are going well, everything is a problem. And here you're just thinking, feeling, experiencing on impulse, on reaction. Over here, in the spontaneous state, you are aware that there's thinking happening. You're aware that there's feeling. You're aware that there's experiencing. And you let the contents be what they are. Seeing them to be out of your control, seeing them to be spontaneous, you let them be as they are. You let the content arise as it must and subside as it must, come and go. That is its nature. You let what comes and goes act on according to its own laws, but no longer do you mix your beingness with it. No longer do you attribute it reality, right? Like that's real. Nothing beyond that. You come from a deeper place and you actually rest as you are. So there's this greater space between you and the thinking and the feeling and the experiencing. And that is the only way the thinking and the experiencing and the feeling don't become problems for you. Because you see that the content will always fluctuate between pleasant, unpleasant, good, bad, positive, negative. So in order for us to not lose ourselves and let the content pull us into suffering, there must be this space between what we know ourselves to be and the content that is arising, that wants to pull you in, right? That wants to make you take shape as itself and experience its projections, but no longer do you fall for that. And this is the shift from unconscious to spontaneous. Both states are automatic, right? Not efforted. But here, there's great immersion. There's no wisdom, no detachment, no knowing of what you actually are, right? It's just you're taken to be the thought and the feeling and the experience. Over here, there's great space, great detachment. There's an awareness of the thinking, of the feeling, of the experiencing, yet there's an allowance of it. Whatever it must be in this moment, it is allowed to be. Over here, there's great need to control and manipulate. Over here, there's just an allowance, an acceptance. So through meditation, through inquiry, this is the shift that is naturally occurring. I'm not telling you to create this shift. I'm just sort of giving you the overview of what is already happening for you. You know, you're watching these videos, you're practicing these teachings. If you're not practicing, this will not happen. No matter how much you listen to this stuff, know that. It will not serve you at all to just have these be nice, fancy ideas in your mind. Confirm this for yourself in your experience. Make it your truth. How? Through the consistent practice of what we speak of. There are many resources available to you, right, that I provide. The free 1-hour class with step-by-step information, everything in the description box below, the many videos you have on this channel. So there's very many resources for you to now implement this and really go all in on it. And this shift is a natural byproduct of your consistent practice. Be genuine in your approach, be lighthearted, take it one day at a time, one moment at a time. Okay? Be here fully. Practice. Thanks for watching this video. Just 2 things before you go. If you want to learn how to implement the teaching that we cover on this channel in a step-by-step format and really develop your understanding of it in a faster way, make sure to watch my free 1-hour class that I'm offering right now. And second, if you want to work with me personally to help you dissolve mind identification and return to peace through self-inquiry, check out my program down below. It's called the Higher Consciousness Shift. Enrollments are now open, so just check out the details and book your free call, and we'll see if it's right for you. That's all I have for you today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.